I've always been an animal lover and had dogs as a child and growing up. And I really didn't think about animals having rights more than I just loved them and cared about them. And as I got older, being a more compassionate person in general, I certainly wanted to paraphrase, extend my circle of compassion more to animals. And then as I grew older, it's just gotten more and more to where I've learned more and become more educated on it. And I think my spiritual beliefs, which are somewhat Christian, somewhat Buddhist, coincide in the fact that whatever you do unto the least of these, you do unto me, or to think about just that they matter also. And those are kind of philosophical questions that I think about. Where I live in Houston now, there are many people who also care deeply for animals, but unfortunately, in Texas, you have, of course, the ranching, rodeos, hunting, people who do big game hunting all over the world. And then there's also another side, which are the people that abandon their animals, or they cut their ears with scissors to get a lot of pit bulls there. They videotape cruelty. They put acid on their back. This is just in Houston area. They do things for gang initiations. And then there's just plain old abandonment and no spay and neuter. You move and you leave your cat or dog. So that led me into rescuing. And at first, we had just a couple of rescue dogs that we got. And then there's this thing called Facebook. And they'll say, Susan, there's a dog here, there's a dog there. Or they'll tell other people there are dogs here that are in need, or a lot of cats that are starving, or kittens without a mother. And even in my neighborhood, there's been a few. So I felt like I had no choice if no one else stepped forward that I needed to. So that's how we became kind of overrun with rescue animals. And I fully vet them, take them to the doctor if they need care for mange or heartworm disease or injury. And it could be an orthopedic injury or whatever. I do whatever it takes to get them better. And then I try to adopt them out myself or let another rescue group take them and they adopt them out. So that's kind of the process of where I am right now.
I actually believe that animals are not understood properly. In fact, I often draw the analogy, and I've drawn the analogy many times, that 2,000 years ago, we used to take delight by throwing Christians to the lions in the Colosseum and watching the horrible death of human beings. And it never affected human beings at that time. It was actually a form of entertainment. And I think at some point in the future, it may be 1,000 years, it may be 2,000 years, and I think we're going to look back on this era and we're going to say how barbaric human beings treated animals. Having so many animals at our house, and there's never less than 30 to 35, I've come to find out that all of the emotions that human beings have exist in these animals. They feel love, they feel jealousy, they feel bonded. They feel bonded to not only other dogs, other cats, but to human beings. I can tell when they're sad. I can tell when they're depressed. And I know that they feel the same emotions we do. And to think that we can treat these animals the way we do in certain parts of the world, certainly in the United States, we have some work to do. There's some third world countries that have even more work to do. But I think it's a travesty, and I believe that as we continue to evolve as human beings, that someday we're going to look back on this and say, we just haven't evolved. We just weren't evolved enough. I think the challenge is the education of kids from the time they come into this world. We have a culture that's passed on from generation to generation that says that animals are much less important than human beings. And maybe they are a little bit less important than human beings, but they certainly don't deserve any less regard when it comes to their well-being. And I think it's going to take a change in that culture. And I think if we were to compare the basic cultural attitudes towards animals today and compare it to 100 years ago, I think it has changed. I think if we compared it to the cultural attitudes 50 years ago, I think it has changed. I wish it would be more rapid. I wish we could get to the point that I'd like to see us. Of course, if we go back 100 years ago and 200 years ago, animal skins were like money. They had value. Even today, if you go to certain parts of the globe, the tusk of an elephant is worth a fortune. And so as long as animals are bringing us some kind of a commodity, I think we'll always have capitalists that are trying to basically capitalize on that.
I totally agree. I think that the animal use industry, of which we all may play a part, we're not perfect, and we're evolving too in our attitudes. I mean, we've come a long way. But I remember one of the things that I thought was so fabulous was having a fabulous fur. Wouldn't that be great? They look so good on, and that just says something special about you. And then I saw a film on it, and I saw the live skinning of an animal. And so I couldn't wear fur anymore. And to some people, it may take that, but I think I don't want to see that anymore. You can't unsee it. And I just don't understand when I meet wonderful people, because I do humanitarian work for humans too. And I see wonderful people that would give the shirt off their back to someone in need or a child with cancer. And then I see them with the fur on. And I still use some leather products. But I'm saying, since I saw the film, I can't unsee it. And I wish there was some way to convey to people without having that, because many people won't see that. And some just frankly don't care.
Even the compassionate people, they really don't understand. I mean, they never give it a second thought.
Right.
And again, that's a cultural thing. It's been passed on.
They see it everywhere. It's on the news. It's on TV. Every fashion show, people are lined with celebrities, many of them wonderful human beings that do so much good in the world. And there's that part that we need to fix. There's, of course, the commerce.
Do you think it's awareness?
There's awareness, but there's also, you have to remember, I deal with, I'm on the board of the U.S. Fund for UNICEF Southwest Region, and to get people to care about children that aren't born here, or even sometimes outside our state, let alone outside our country. It's the other. We all know about that, to care about the other. What's not like us, what religion is not like us, what culture, whatever it is, it's otherizing. And I think animals suffer the most on that. They're the least cared about. Even on animal charitable sources, you will see that animals get less than 1 or 2% of all charitable donations. You will see the arts and museums, which certainly have value, but they are given much greater weight than to help an animal.